So today I'm gonna go through the same thing again, but this time I'm on. I'm gonna be on. We're going to the 9 and then the 11. So I think I went I left off on the Aeolian. So we'll go back uh, to like the Phrygian next time, and I'll continue building my chords and just trying to think of my shapes after the joke jump. For right now, I think I'm just gonna noodle around, and I'm trying to. And my noodling, I was thinking of like going back to my rhythm thing, but it's kind of a rhythm exercise. I'm kind of like thinking I had that like just that little, so that little, just that kind of like that kind of sound, that kind of pattern. But then I could play that rhythmically anywhere, and I'm just gonna try to fit that into everywhere on as I go. So whatever I do, and then I'll try to work in like scratch picking or picking up an open string or maybe walking back and those kind of things that I've been working on, but try to fit them in to a general rhythm, right? So because most of the time when I do it, when like if I learn something like this, it seems to me like I learn a trick, like a little trick, and I'm like, oh, I can do a walk back shuffle pattern. Then I tend to do that in a particular rhythm, and when I learn a different trick, like shuffle pattern like this, or up three strings like that, then I will fit that into a different rhythm. So it's kind of hard sometimes to fit little tricks into once you learn the little tricks. It's like, okay, how can I work that into a different rhythm? You know, so I forget what rhythm I had in my head now. So it was something like. All right, let's try a joke jump, and then I'll get back into the counting of the things. Get down to the nitty to the gritty. Get down to the people are being wishy-washy, and I think we need to clean things up. So we need to get less wishy and more washy. Less wishy. We don't need wishy-washy. We need less wishy and more washy. Okay. Less wishy and more washy. Being wishy-washy. You're doing half the job. Half the job. We're supposed to wash. Less wishy, more washy. Okay. All right. I'm going to write that down. Okay. All right. So what am I talking? What is this one on? This is a quick. I think this is a shorter one. So. Big socialist governments, man, they love explaining away its own incompetence with the phrase, every cloud has a silver lining, you know? They're like, take all your money. They give it to somebody that doesn't deserve that, like that isn't doing any, like they're not doing anything, and then they just waste it, and then they're like, dude, but that's cool because every cloud has a silver lining, and it's like, what are you even talking about? How is what you're doing make any sense? And they're like, well, but for the grace of God, what is that even? You're not answering the freaking question, you sneaky, slimy son of a. Every cloud has a silver lining. You know, I always thought that was a weird phrase for some reason, because that's basically like someone dropping a bucket of water on your head, then zapping you with static electricity from that very same bucket after they like rubbed the bucket on, like, I don't know, a carpet or something like that. And then they go, dude, chill, because the bucket's made of silver, dude. The bucket's made of silver, man. Because every bucket has a silver lining. It's like, no, I don't care. I don't care if the bucket is made out of silver, platinum, or artisanal hand-forged moon metal. It doesn't freaking matter. Stop silver bucket zapping me in the head. It's not cool. It's not impressive. It's not enlightened, okay? And the worst part is that silver that you made the bucket from, you know, that used to be our silver until the government took it, melted it down, forged this deluxe taxpayer-funded multi-purpose citizen soaking and zapping bucket 3000. This is ridiculous. That's not what my silver should be going towards. I should be making like silverware. It used to be silverware until they took it. And then they started making this stupid bucket that they dumped on my head with it. So now they're electrocuting us with their own money and acting like they're doing us a favor by spending too much money on the bucket they're using to dump on our heads and then zap us with. That's how socialist, that's how it works. I don't care what you made the bucket out of. You used the silver to make a bucket, you morons. Might as well make a windmill out of it or something. Make something. Whatever, dude. I wrote a song about it.
Big socialist government loves to talk away the mess they made. Hit us with that old cliche. Every cloud has a silver lining, babe. But I'm standing here soaked and freezing. Like, what are you even implying? Cause that's like dropping water on my head, then hitting me with static lightning. From the same bucket. What kind of budget torture toolkit is this? Then they go, bro, chill, relax. The bucket is made of silver. And I'm like, no, bucket, zapping me. It's not cool, it's not wise, it's not enlightened energy. Stop shocking me in the name of positivity. And the worst part, that silver used to be ours, till they took it from the people like they're forging magic powers. Threw it in a furnace, melted all our savings down. Made the citizens soaking in zapping bucket 3,000 like it's saving the whole town. A stainless steel disaster, a platinum pride parade, a taxpayer-funded lightning bucket we never asked them to make. Now they're electrocuting us with our own money, smiling like they're doing us a favor, like it's something funny. We overspent on the bucket, aren't you grateful, dude? No, man, keep your Spark Shock spot treatment. I'm not in the mood. Every cloud's got a silver lining. Sure, maybe that's true, but every silver lining starts to fade when the silver came Yo.
The bucket has a silver lining. It's a silver bucket. Don't worry, dude. You should be happy because it's a silver bucket. I don't like what this is California this is California governance logic right here. I mean, there's no water in the bucket for the fire because we dumped it on your head. But it's cool though because it's a silver bucket. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's get back to the work. I have to make sure to get some revenue so I can pay for the government silver bucket. Okay. Let's see. Someone's got to pay for the silver bucket around here, all right? Okay. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go back. I'm going to copy this grid down, move or copy. Pull this down here. All right, and then maybe I'll see if Aura's available. She was hanging out yesterday. She couldn't make it yesterday. She was doing important stuff, apparently. I thought we were important, but okay. All right. Aura. I can't hear you. Aura. I'm gonna reset. I'll reset Aura. Something's wrong with Aura. I thought you fixed this yesterday. I thought you were gonna take care of your business yesterday and then be ready today. Aura.
Well, I didn't, but I'm here now, aren't I?
Okay.
What's...
All right then. All right. So we're gonna do, we're doing a guitar tutorial, but it's a technical tutorial, and so try not to be so like, you, like poetic and colorful. Like you're the color person, but we're trying to get technical here on the nodal points. So just keep that in mind today.
Got it. Technical, no fluff. Ready when you are.
All right. Okay, here we go. So now we're in, let's go back to the collection of notes around the key of, you can have a little fluff, but I'm just saying, just don't get crazy, because you were going all poetic like before when I'm trying to, I was trying to count the thing out. So just don't get carried away, as the color person. You're not talking to me, you're talking to the audience here, but it needs to be something that contributes to the conversation in some kind of material way. Okay, anyways. So we're on the collection of notes around the key of C, where the C is 8th fret, 1st string down from the ceiling, and then back to the 5th fret, 1st string down from the ceiling. That's what I call position number 1. You might call it the Ionian G shape, or shape for the Aeolian shape, meaning the minor mode shape. We're leaning back, so I'm going to put the positions back here. So I'm circling all of the intervals as we look at the intervals one at a time, and we're focusing right now on the 9th, which is also like the 2nd. So the 8th modal half step, 9th scale degree, which is equivalent from a local distance of the 1st modal half step, 2nd scale degree. So just a quick recap, we're looking at nodal point 5, so we're playing it in G Mixolydian.
Right.
And then,
So instead,
you're right, and then and then that we're looking at the 3rd, so I'm looking backwards. This is kind of a weird kind of reach back quadrant that we're working back over here, defining it by the upper left quadrant, because that's where the 3rd is. So nodal point 7, which is Locrian, is always the 2nd modal half step, 3rd scale degree of nodal point 5, Mixolydian. Then the 5th is right above it. That means that nodal point 2, Dorian, which happens to be a D in this case, is always the 5th of nodal point 5, Mixolydian. And then the 7th is 6 modal half steps forward, 1 modal half step backwards, meaning the 4th, Lydian. So that means that the nodal point number 4, Lydian, is always the 7th, 6 modal half step, 7th scale degree of nodal point 5, Mixolydian. And then the one that we're on is this one, which is the 9th scale, 8th modal half step, 9th scale degree, which is equivalent to the 1st modal half step, 2nd scale degree. So we determined, let's just calculate that one more time. If I'm looking for the 9th scale degree, if I'm looking for the 9th scale degree, that's equivalent to the 2nd scale degree, which is off by 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it's 1 modal half step up from a local distance standpoint. So if I'm on nodal point 5 Mixolydian, they would be going up to nodal point 6 Aeolian, which, as we could see, is simply one modal half step up or 2 notes up, because it would be a major 2nd from that perspective. It's always a 2-note away major 2nd, unless you're measuring from the Locrian or the Phrygian note, the 2 on the back of the box. So, and that has a distance of 2, but that would be the clockwise distance. We're going counterclockwise, therefore it's 12 minus 2, or 10, negative 10 distance, because we're going above it. So that's going to be 5, 10 going up above it. There it is above it there. So if I'm reaching back from nodal point 5, anytime the 3rd string down from the ceiling is nodal point 5, I'm reaching forward into position number 1, Mixolydian. And that means, of course, that I must be reaching backwards if I root it with my pinky into position number 5. Rooting back into position number 5.
in G Mixolydian, your 9th is an A natural. So, from the G 5th fret, 5th string, that's your pinky on 9th. So if you resolve that 9th down to
Go ahead, Ara.
1st string, 9th to 7th, then maybe walk it down to the 5th on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Or if you're feeling fancy, play the 9th on the 2nd string, 10th fret, with the 5th on the 3rd fret. Gives you a nice tight voicing.
Okay, so that's the starting point. So now I'm going to say, okay, now I want to make it. I want to make it go from G Mixolydian. I now have my pointer on the root to Phrygian. I want to make it the Phrygian. So then I could say, okay, if I want to make it that, I want to make it G Phrygian. I could say, well, what shape am I in? Well, I could find the Phrygian in the current shape. So it would be, if I'm looking for the nodal point 3, I'm on nodal point 5. I could go 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, which would be 5 modal half steps, 6 scale degree forward, which has a distance from the Mixolydian of 9 notes away. Or I could go backwards, 5, 4, 3, 5, 2 steps backwards. So if I know the shape here, I could say it might be easier to go backwards and say, okay, we'd be going 5, 4, 3, boom, which happens to be 1, 2, 3 steps backwards, because 3 steps, negative 3 steps, 12 minus 3 would be 9 steps forward, which would be the 9th. So that's going to give me my Phrygian, and I could say, well, if it's on the same string, that's the first place to find it. And I know, if I know that shape, that shape, if I go up to the root up here, is a G, is the Mixolydian shape, or you might call it the shape number 5, or you might call it, from the Ionian's perspective, an Ionian A shape. That's this shape right here. So I could say, okay, well, if I'm on the 3rd string down and I make it the Phrygian, I'm on the I'm playing the 3rd string down in shape number 5, the Mixolydian shape, right? So I could say, okay, that's fine. So now so how would I do that? I could count it up from here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and then 2, 3.
From the 3rd string down.
Right. So if I played that up here, so now I'm visualizing playing this one, but playing this shape as though that 5 is the 3 starting. So I'm going to play G Phrygian. So it would be 3, 4, 5, right? 6, 7, 1, and then 2, 2, 3.
So now it's E back.
So now if I find the Phrygian on the top string, I might know the top shape. That shape is here. In open position, it's a little wonky because then I don't play the same in open position as though it was up here on the 12th fret where I would play it, right? Up here, I'd have to play it forward, although I can't play it on this guitar too well on the 12th fret. But I know position 4. So now I can say, okay, if that was position 4, then you might call it, I call it the Phrygian / Lydian shape, because it's going to be the starting point of these two shapes because of that half step if I'm leaning forward, or it's the Ionian C shape. So if I made this node, if I thought of it as though it was the top string of shape number 4, that would be the same thing as thinking of it as the 3rd string down from the ceiling of shape number 5, right? Of shape number 5. So I'd get the same pattern. So I'm looking at this shape as I'm playing it as though I'm coming from the top string, but I'm playing the G from the G here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. But then I have to take that 2 and shift it up because I crossed the tuning. 2, 3, 4. Oops.
Right. So if you root on the 1st string, 8th fret.
Hold on. I've got 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. There it is. I went to 4. That's why. I'm not going up to 4. Okay. So that's gonna be the idea. Now I could find it in the same shape. I might know this shape. So I'm like, okay, since maybe this is the only shape I really know. So what if I find it there? I can find it right there, and then I can make this node that node number 4. The problem is that this is on the right-hand side of the shape that I know. So that would be leaning backwards if I brought it back here. So it would be like my pinky's on it, and then I can play the shape. So I might practice that more specifically next time. I'm thinking more of the lean forward shapes. So that shape leaning forward would be the second string down of, and the reason I'm thinking leaning forward, even though I'm kind of doing a lean back chord position, is I'm trying to get a naming convention for all of the nodal points from the perspective of leaning forward, and then I'll add to my understanding leaning backwards. I'm just trying to get it systematically in my mind that way. So if I lean forward, this would be shape number, you might call it the Locrian / Ionian shape, because again, that half step covers those two modes for one shape. That's why there's only 5 shapes, even though there's 7 nodes. But you might call it just an Ionian E shape, or shape number 2, if you say that the other one's shape number 1. So that would mean it's a lean forward from the second string down. Now I could say, well, I know this, if I only know this shape, I could find, where's the lean forward bit? Usually there's 2 in a shape, right? So I could say, okay, it's down here. So now I could say, well, this is the second string in the lean forward shape down here. And I can't go above it as well because I run into the kink in the tuning, right? So when I go above it from here, the tectonic plate on the top is shifting to the left. If I look at it from the perspective of this 3, as though it's static, the tectonic plate above it shifted left. So if I go above it from here, I have to account for the kink in the tuning. But if I go down, then it's the same, right? So I could say, okay, this note, if I know this shape, right, it's going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And then that repeats up here, 6, 7, 1, same notes, lower pitch, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. There's the octave right there. So I could see that pattern here and say I'm just going to play that down because going down doesn't mess the kink in the tuning. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and then I'm just going to imagine it jumps up to the second string, right? Second string, but now I'm shifting across the kink in the tuning. So 2, 3. So I could see it that way. Right?
Exactly. Leaning forward. The Phrygian scale's gonna go. Ring finger on 9th fret, 2nd string. That's your minor second, the EB. Then, pinky on 10th, middle on 11th, index on 12th. Then, jump to 1st string, 9th fret, your 4th degree, and up by half steps.
Okay, hold on. So now if I look at it this way, I've got my fretboard on the collection of notes around the key of C. So E is Phrygian, A is Aeolian, D is Dorian, G is Mixolydian, and then the fretboard itself showing the kink in the tuning to go to back here. Fret 0 is 7, Locrian is B, and then E is Phrygian, nodal point 3. So then if I'm on 5th fret up, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3rd string down from the ceiling, that's my Mixolydian, which is a G. Now, if I want to say that I want to go back, I want to find it on the same string, make it go from G Mixolydian to G Phrygian, then I could just say, okay, where is it in this shape? It's right here, 3rd string down from the ceiling, lean forward shape. Anytime the 3rd string down from the ceiling is nodal point 3, Phrygian, I'm leaning forward to shape number 5, or the Mixolydian shape, or the Ionian A shape. So if I pulled this forward, then I can say, okay, there it is, boom. And so now from the perspective of the red fretboard, then this nodal point 3 is still only 1, 2, 3 nodes up in the collection of notes around the key of C, right? But from the collection of notes, if I look at it from the yellow perspective, which now means I'm in the collection of notes of, from the Ionian's perspective, from the major perspective collection of notes, I'm in D sharp. I'm in the collection of notes of D sharp. Now this is the 5th fret up, 3rd string down. So it's the Phrygian. So now I can see it. Either way I look at it, it's the Phrygian. If the Phrygian is the 3rd string down from the ceiling in whatever collection of notes that I'm in, which happens to be, if I'm in the collection of notes around the key of C, red shape, 5th fret up, But if I'm in the collection of notes around the key of D sharp, it's third fret up. Fifth fret up, third string down, which is the G. So there it is right there. Boom, boom, boom. So there it is. So what if I know it from the top node? So if I go back to the collection of notes around the key of C, then I know that up top I have my Phrygian up top. That's shape number 4. You might call it the Phrygian / Lydian shape, because that's the half step, two modes per shape if you name it by first note of the shape. Or you might call it an Ionian C shape, or shape number 4. So if I move that down and say, okay, I want to move that down to here, so then I can, from the perspective of the red collection of notes around the key of C, that node is on fret 0 is where it starts, so it's in open position. But if I look at the collection of notes around the key of D sharp, which is the yellow, it's the 5th fret up, 3rd string down. But if I play down from that shape, it's the same, right? If I play down from that shape, I can think of it as though it's the 3rd string down of shape number 5, Mixolydian shape, or the Ionian A shape, or I can think of it as though it's the 1st string down from the ceiling, shape number 4. I get to the same shape. Now you could also play above it, right? Like what's above that shape? When you look at it from the collection of notes around the key of C here, above it this 3 would be shifted up on the fretboard. The 3 would be right underneath it, like this. But because of the kink in the tuning, it's shifted backwards. So if I go above it, I'm going to get the 7, which would be like if I went above this 3 on the red to that 3 down here, right above it would be the 7. And then above that would be you'd have to go this way to the 5, right? So that's going to be, the shape gets a little wonky. That kink in the tuning always kind of makes it a little wonky, but you can kind of think about what happens above it as well by wrapping around the fretboard. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so let me actually bring this one down here this time. So then what if I found it from like this node? So this is the node I know, which is shape number 1. But if I find it here, I'm leaning back into shape number 1. I'm leaning forward into shape number 2. So I could do it there, but if I know this bit, like in shape number 1 from here, these bottom strings leaning forward, that's down here, right? Then I could say, well, I could pull that Phrygian up to here. So it's below the kink in the tuning, so it would be shifted to the right. This node 6 would be right under this node 6. So when I pull it out, it would go, so now it's in the proper place because the kink in the tuning have shifted, and then I go this way. So boom, boom, boom. And so then there it is, but now I need to pull it down just a smidge, like that. Okay, so now that works, I think, but my head is, let me go back over here before my head leaves me and go back on over here. That's enough of that for now. Okay, so then if I go back here, so then I'm like, okay, well, what if I want to change my fretboard? I have to change it from the perspective of the Ionian node. So if I make this G Phrygian, what's the related Ionian? Well, again, I could say, well, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 1, 3 modal half steps up. 5, it could be 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. 5 modal half steps, 6 scale degrees, 9 notes away from a major node like the Mixolydian. Or I can say 5, wait a sec, I'm going to the Ionian. So 5, 6, 7, 1, 3 modal half steps, 4th scale degree, which would be 5 notes up. So it's going to be 5 notes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's my shape on the same string, would be up to here, Ionian. So then that's fine. But I'm looking but I want to make it Phrygian. So what if it was Phrygian? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 5 modal half steps up, sixth scale degree, or I can just look at the shape. I can just say, well, the Ionian is diagonal above it right here. So I can say, okay, well, if this was the nodal point was a 3, the 5 is going to be diagonal up here, which is going to make it a D sharp. A D is 6 if I named A 1, and so I'm going to say this is going to be 7. D sharp is 7 then. So I'll make this number 7. Number 7.
So if you're
Okay.
Ionian for G,
So then
down 3 whole.
Okay, so then if I look at this, now on the where am I now? So this 3 is in leaning forward into shape number 5, or the Mixolydian shape, or you might call it the Ionian A shape. It's leaning backwards, therefore, into shape number 4, which you might call the C shape or the Phrygian/Lydian shape. Okay, so that makes sense. And then let's look at my intervals now. So now I'm measuring from the Phrygian instead of measuring from the Mixolydian, which is a minor node. Therefore, it's going to have a minor third. That's this one up here. So it has, instead of having, it has a second modal half step, third scale degree, which is 3 notes away instead of 4 notes away. That's the clockwise distance. We're going counterclockwise. Therefore, it's going to be 12 minus 3, or 9 notes away instead of 8 notes away. So that means it's going to be back here. So 3, because it's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that right there. And then the 5th is still right above it. So that's going to be same relative position for the major and minors. Only the Locrian is different there. And then we have the 7, which is also in the same place, even though it's a minor here, because although we were on a major mode last time from the Mixolydian, it has a minor 7. So that means it's still a 10 note away minor 7. And we're going behind it though, so 12 minus 10 is 2 backwards. So it would be then, so that's right. So that means that the Dorian node, node number 2, is always the 7th of node number 3, Phrygian. And then the one we're working on is this one up here, which is different because now we're looking at the 9th, the 8th modal half step, 9th scale degree, which is equivalent to the 1st modal half step, 2nd scale degree, and it's different between the major and minor nodes. So let's think about that one. We're looking for the 9, which is equivalent to the 2 from a local distance, the 2nd. 2 is off by 1 because it's a scale degree, so that would be 1 modal half step up. So if I'm on nodal point number 3, it's going to be plus 1 nodal point 4. So it needs to be back here to this one, which is going to be Lydian. So that means that the Lydian is always from a chord construction standpoint, 4th modal half step plus times 2, 4th modal whole step times 2, 8th modal half step plus 1 would be the 9th scale degree. But if I want the local distance, it's 8 modal half steps, which is over 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. It would be 1 modal half step up plus 1 would be the 2nd scale degree. Now, it has a distance of only 1 note away, not just because it's a minor, but it's the only minor that has a minor 2nd. All the other minors still have a major 2nd. If I go from the Dorian, it takes 2 steps up. If I go from the Aeolian, it takes 2 steps up. So it's only the ones on the back of the house, which is 1 straight minor, that's going to be the Phrygian, and the other crazy minor, because it has a flat 5, that being the Locrian. So that's the diminished. So then so that's fine. So that means that it has a distance of a minor distance of 8 instead of 9 on the clockwise direction, but we're going counterclockwise. Therefore, it has a distance of 1 instead of 2 clockwise, local distance, but we're going counterclockwise, so 12 minus 1 would be 11. So if I count that up counterclockwise, it would be -5, -10, 11. -11, local distance, therefore 12 minus 11, 1 on the clockwise side. All right, whew. All right, so now I'm leaning back into shape number 5. All right, so if I was here.
So, if you're on G Phrygian, rooted at 5th fret, 3rd string, that's E bass major's 3rd mode. Your 9th's in A. Counterclockwise from the root, yeah, That's 11 half steps. Lands you on Lydian, C sharp, which is exactly the second degree, right there. Pinky on 8th fret, 1st string. And since you're leaning back, your index hits the 7th fret, 2nd string, B flat. That's the minor 7th. Then just reach behind with the ring for the 9th. Clean. So to play that 9th against your Phrygian root, hold the G on 3rd string 5th, hammer the A on 1st string 8th, let the minor 7th ring underneath on B flat, 2nd string. Anyway, if you want a more common sound, you could bend that 9th up instead of resolving, or just play the minor 2nd, the EB, against the G for that Spanish tension.
So that obviously is a tension-y one because it's right next to, it's a half step away. So it's going to give us a lot more.
Yes, the minor 9th chord, Phrygian dominant if you raise that 4th, is right next door. So if you want to get spookier, raise the 4th to E natural, and now you're stacking G, B flat, D, A. That's a Phrygian dominant, total flamenco energy.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. So from that G Phrygian root, just lift the fourth, first string, ninth fret, to a 10th fret. Now it's not just exotic. It's got that tension release thing built in. Feels like it's about to storm.
Yeah. All right. So now let's go back to, let's say I want to go back to that G, back to G Mixolydian. So that means, well, if I knew this collection of notes, I could say, okay, well, where is the G from this collection? I can say, well, I'm on, if I want to make this G currently is Phrygian, I want to say 3 to Mixolydian, 3, 4, 5, 2 modal half steps up, third scale degree. So I could say it's going to be, that's from the third scale degree is 3 notes up from a minor node like the Phrygian. So that would bring it up to that shape. Wait a sec. Wait. So what am I trying to? Okay, she won't be quiet. She's gonna keep talking until I can't stop talking, or else Aura will start talking. So I'm just gonna keep talking it out in my mind because I can't let my train of thought get interrupted here. So what I'm gonna say is I want to get to the 5, and so where is the 5 here? It's going to be 3, 4, 5, 2 modal half steps with this, which is the third scale degree. Boom, boom, boom. So there's where the 5 is, and I can see the 5 on the 8th fret. So if it's on the 8th fret, where is it in this position? Well, that's the Mixolydian. Anytime the third string down from the ceiling is the 5, then we're leaning in to shape number 1, familiar shape number 1. So if I just pulled this back to here, then I can think about that 3 as though it's the third string down from the ceiling, shape number 1, going from the Mixolydian node of that shape. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, boom. Okay, but I could also be like, what if I know it on the top string? I could say, well, if I know the 5 is there, then I'm like, okay, so now I found it in that shape, but it's also on the top string in this collection of notes right here, because that's the octave up. So that's the octave up here, and I know that is position number 5, or the Mixolydian position, or the Ionian A position, if you want to say it that way. So then I can like imagine this node right here, the G, is like the top string of the Mixolydian position, and play it as though it's the Mixolydian until I hit the kink in the tuning. 5, 6, 7, 1, wait, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, kink in the tuning, shifts up, 3, 4, 5, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so then I can say, that's great. What if I, and that's fine, let's do that. That's it, that's all I need. Right, Aura?
Yeah, that's it. You found every possible way back to Mixolydian. You're good.
That's right. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to say that I'm back to Mixolydian. So now we're on the 5th, the 5th to the 8th fret is shape number 1, third string down from the ceiling, Mixolydian. And that means I'm leaning into shape number 1. If I look at the intervals, the 3rd out here is now off because I went from a minor node Phrygian back to the major node Mixolydian, which has a second modal half step third scale degree, which is only 3 notes away, which is 4 notes away instead of 3. That's the clockwise direction. We're going counterclockwise. 12 minus 4 is 8. So it should be -8 instead of -9. That's why it's going to be back here. So that means nodal point 7. Locrian is always the 3rd of nodal point 5, Mixolydian. The 5th is in the same relative position because it's the same going from every node, same distance, except if I'm going from the Locrian node. That means nodal point 2, Dorian, is always the fifth of nodal point 5. Fourth modal half step, fifth of nodal point 5, Mixolydian. The seventh is in the same position, even though I'm now in a major mode of the Mixolydian, because that's the major mode that has the minor 7. So that means that nodal point 4, Lydian, is always the sixth modal half step, seventh scale degree of the Mixolydian. But the one that we're working on, the eighth modal half step, ninth scale degree, which is equivalent to the local distance of the first modal half step, second scale degree, is off, because we were coming from a minor node, Phrygian, which has a minor distance of 1 modal half step, or 8 modal half steps if it was an octave up, versus the major distance, which only has a distance of major second away, which would be right, major second away, right. So that means I'm going to go back. So that means a major second away needs to be 2 notes, which would be 12 minus 2 would be 10. So that brings it back here. So that means that nodal point 6, Aeolian, is always the okay. That means that from a chord construction, nodal point 6 is always the fourth modal whole step times 2, eighth modal half step plus 1, ninth scale degree from nodal point 5, Mixolydian. And if it's the eighth modal half steps up, 8 minus 7, because there's only 7 steps, is 1 modal half step up, which plus 1 would be the second scale degree. And so that would be from the Mixolydian. Okay, I'm just gonna noodle around for a bit because I'm kind of tired. So what was I doing? I was trying to do like a tune before, but like, let's see.
So noodle. The fretboard's still C-shaped. If you want, play the root on the 8th fret first string, then the 9 on the 10th. That's your G to A. Then drop to the 6th fret first string, F sharp. You've got your minor 7. Walk it down, 5, 3, your D and B. Then back up to the 9. So yeah, that's a little Mixolydian loop. Simple, but it never gets boring.
Pattern is this.
Root, 9, 7, 5, 3, back to 9. Loop.
So then I'm just gonna vary that. I'm trying to play that rhythm in different patterns. That's all I'm trying to do.
Play it in triplets. Root 9, 7, 5, 3, 9. Then do 4 note. 9, root, 7, 5. 3, 9, root, 7. Then switch it. Make the 7 the landing note every time. Always feels right.